You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely dangerous.
Hey, good afternoon. Good morning. Yeah, morning, afternoon, depending on where you at in the world. Good night even. No, but hey, seriously, welcome to the new. I'm your host, Randy&April. Happy Motivated Monday. Yes, we're slammed down here in Texas with some snow. We got a winter storm advisory going on. We got about 2 inches of snow accumulation. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Happy birthday to my brother Jeremy. He turned 30 today. Yesterday was my grandmother, my paternal grandmother's birthday. And the realization of when I saw the picture came up, my other siblings posting and everything else, I kind of had a moment of epiphany, if you will, that wow, I forgot. I didn't forget, but it kind of like you're not thinking about it at the moment or in the interim that because pretty much all of my grandparents are passed now, but except for her. So I was like, man, she is my grandson's great great grandmother. Now, how many people can say that they still have their great great grandmother around? I mean, given today's culture, people are having kids a lot younger, so the possibility is there. Don't get me wrong, but just in retrospect, thinking about it, it's like whoa. But due to COVID, it sucks because she is in a nursing home. Obviously, she is older, and I would love to take a road trip up to Chicago so she can see him and we get videos and pictures of all this to kind of like archive for later on, so when he gets older he can be like, yeah, although I was like only 6 months old, but I had a chance to be with and held by my great great grandmother. I met my great grandmother, mine's, back in '97, and then a couple of years later she passed at the age of 100. But it was pretty like an awestruck moment to sit there and have a conversation with your great grandmother and to actually have an understanding of what's being discussed at that time. And so I just find that pretty tripped out. Like I said, I was thinking about it kind of like Randy yesterday. But anyways, hope you all had a great weekend. A lot going on, a lot going on. My birthday's coming up in a couple of weeks at the end of the month, and my daughter there, she's having hers. So that week we may not be on air because we do plan on being out of town so we can celebrate our birthdays. But in other news, Trump has been acquitted again. It's so weird to say again. Like who goes to a series of impeachments? But okay. But yes, Trump, former President Trump, has been acquitted by the Senate, 43-57. Now it wasn't 43 in favor, or I gotta put that 57 people, 57 senators voted to impeach. 43 did not, but he was still acquitted. Now he probably lost the votes in the Senate. Yes, he did. But however, they needed to have a majority, so it been a total of 61 or 17 Republicans to vote in favor of impeachment. They did not meet that threshold, so therefore he was acquitted. Now it's funny because um, one of the House managers, delegate representative but delegate Stacey Plaskett, she's a Democrat of the Virgin Islands, so that's why she's a delegate because they have representation but they don't have voting power. Just do research. Anyways, solution where they passed a vote to the Senate Republicans like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this here. Reason being, bringing in witnesses to say that President Trump told them to do something would have been false. Number one. Number two is hearsay because there was nothing directly tying President Trump telling any one individual to go storm the Capitol. So to bring in witnesses, you're automatically setting the baseline and a foundation of having false witnesses, bearing false witnesses in testimony. And that would have set them up to be for perjury right off the bat. So the senators, the Republican senators, like, yeah, let's play this game. And so I guess the Democrats kind of like thought about it, like, wait a minute, they're too eager to allow this. Never mind, let's just put up for a vote for to whether or not we're gonna convict or quit because they already knew. From the jump start though, this the impeachment was unconstitutional to begin with because the simple fact that the purpose of impeachment is to remove a sitting president or sitting cabinet member, because cabinet members can be impeached as well, from their office. He's no longer in office. So what are we impeaching? Now they was trying to set the not a president, but they was trying to set a tone, if you will, to prevent him from holding further office, which that still would have been unconstitutional in the first place. Anyways, so I don't know, folks. $33 million went into 3 million, but for argument's sake, 35 million went into an impeachment that lasted what 4 5 days, and nothing came of it. There was, if that doesn't piss you off, I don't know what I can say about this that will piss you off. But hey, it is what it is. But anyways, on to other constitutional issues. The state of Utah, um, Salt Lake City particularly, they passed a permit. They passed a bill to allow for concealed carry without a permit. That is a win for the Second Amendment. And the argument behind that was it's very, very simple, actually. You get criminals, and I say the same thing. You got criminals that can get guns, they conceal and carry guns, they create mayhem, havoc, robberies, mass shootings, whatever the case. But in the interim of the commission of a crime, they're probably concealing and carrying the weapon so they're not obviously noticed and everything else. So why is it that law-abiding citizens should have to go through these extra procedures, protocols, and everything else to conceal carry when it's their constitutional right to do so? Get rid of that. Just as long as you register, your firearm, register your name and all that good stuff. I'm good with that. Background check, good with that, and go about your business. Don't do the stuff in the setting around a who's gone through these procedures and everything else. Concealed carrying as well. Something breaks out, you don't know who's carrying. So that is a mechanism of deterrence for crime prevention and self defense. So I hats off, salute, kudos to Utah. There are 15 other states that are on board. We're doing similar. State of Alaska is one that they already have something like this in place. They're called constitutional carry states. So this is these now they're what called a safe harbor or sanctuary gun cities. So and you see in these places. So something the left should think about in terms of their advocacy for gun control, because some places, Houston particularly, she's proposed. I think I talked about this last week or a week before or so, but if not, I'll briefly touch on it. She introduced HR 127, which I remember because she introduced the legislation about psychology tests for you, your family members in your household, and imposing an $800 insurance fee and all this crazy draconian measures just to have a gun, but not realizing that you got criminals and those who are just idiots that would not obey these kind of rules and laws, and they're have firearms in violation of this gun battle. If people would just read the Constitution, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. It shouldn't be infringed. Let's be written. No, it says shall not. You shall not infringe on the right to bear arms. It's that simple. But
you are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Put your hands together.
Damn!
Say it again. I'm back. Hey! What you doing back here? Mufasa! Say it again. Feel right in his...
I've just discovered that I may have a son here in this land. How much child support is she getting from? The king pays no child support.
No child support for 30 years and you came back? You was a dummy.
Hello, I am Hakim Jaffer, King of Zamunda. You are the heir to the throne.
Yes, my father.
He's supposed to be like the prince of Wakanda.
Wakanda is a fictional place.
Not to everybody.
Zamunda is a very real nation.
I don't need no handout. Wait a minute. All right, I'm gonna pay. Okay, baby.
Presenting King Akeem's son from America.
And my mom's.
And his mom's.
Children, this is your brother.
Hey, Quine. I'm sorry I slept with your man.
This happened before we even met.
It's not like you're the first man I've ever been with.
What did you just say about the other men?
Coming to America, now it's coming to me.
I always thought that Mika was going to be queen.
A woman isn't allowed to rule Zamunda. It's the law.
Did it ever occur to you that Mika wanted to be your heir?
Would you dare banish me from my own bedroom?
How you doing, Hakeem?
I'm getting it from everywhere. I have upset my family.
You must be strong.
And General Izzy would love nothing more than to take over Zamunda.
Raise it higher.
I'm a king,
Put your hands together.
I like that.
Say it again.
Give me all.
It's a party over here.
I must admit, your style is far into my kingdom, but it's impressive.
That's right. There you go. Let me hear you say, hey, ho.
Hey, ho!
No, don't do that. That's his mother.
Oh, don't you say it.
No, not to his mother.
Almost ready to become a prince.
Almost.
It is time.
Ceremonial circumcision.
Bring forward the royal machete.
Machete?
They're gonna sharpen you too, nephew.
Coming to America, now it's coming to me. I'm a king, I'm a king, I'm a king.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
I watched this documentary, mini, 15-hour, 16 minutes long. It's called 72. Unbought and Unbossed. But it's about Shirley Chisholm. Now, a lot of people these days probably are not too familiar with any shows, or not too familiar with who Shirley Chisholm was. Critical of some things. In her in this documentary, she passed away. It was made in 2004. She died in 2005. Now she talked about her time during she was running for president of America to running for president and everything else. And one is culture, intersectionality, and identity politics. Now, these three things at that time, 4 or 5 decades ago, so a prevalent thing back then, and she faced that, not realizing what she was stepping into with different cultures, different identities within, and to try to bridge gaps and bring all this stuff together, bring all these people together with different agendas and everything else. And the only thing that she can do, the only thing that she was trying to do at the time was, she says, she of all people. Now, well, while that's a great slogan and a unifying message and everything else, she did face some realities. That number one, and particularly what I'm gonna focus on here today is the intersectionality aspect of being a black woman. Number one, number two, being the first black woman to run for president. Not only that, but she was also the first black woman to be elected to Congress. So she was a sitting congresswoman out of New York. I want to say it was the 12th or the 13th district, but she's a black woman, the first sitting in Congress, running for president, and she's going through. She's married and everything in a field of pretty much all, well, it was all white men, old folks. The you have to go. You have to watch it for yourself. I don't want to get into the whole movie, but the intersection in that alone, and going around the country trying to convince people, even black people, that hey, I'm running for president and vote for me. They're like, why? you know, so she was faced with the chat with that reality of, just because I'm the first person that's ready or is willing to support me doing this. Now she had a plethora of support across all spectrums. Don't get me wrong, but she was facing that uphill battle day in and day out of the simple fact that here you are running for president, or here I am running for president, and I have these different identity politics going on, and then you scale back, and now I'm just within my community of black people, and I'm trying to get their support. And not to say she kind of went they support me, and she really and it was right in her face, because you had black men that were like, your sister girl, and all that. We love you. You black queen, blah blah blah. But we don't think you're to be trying to run to try to run for president because you're a black woman. And shut that down. Black women, they were kind of like, okay, you're trying to. They looked at it from an realistic standpoint of, okay, you out here just playing around, trying to get your name out there and everything else. So you can't be serious because there's no way you're gonna win. So they automatically turn their focus away from her in that regard, and they like focusing, looking at who are these white guys that are running for president, because we gotta pick one of them. We can't support this. This is nonsense. And then she saw how the National Organization of Women, they had that same sentiment. Now, on the surface, they supported her and they were like, yeah, girl power, woo, yeah, go. And they was like, okay, guys, look, she's our girl and all, but this is great that she's doing this, but let's look at who we're gonna actually support and nominate. Take you to a movie to check out, another documentary, Time to Washington, and in that one, this is a little more recent documentary. It's made in theory. He didn't have that element was there. So you have the critical race theory ideology, whereas if you're white, you should be guilty about some case for him because he was Filipino. He was a Filipino or Southeast Asian, South Southeast, predominantly black district. He magically won because at the time the incumbent federal charges for fraud, embezzlement in that election cycle window where he was able to get himself in. People like, okay, we guess we have to pick this guy because somebody else was he was he he was a Republican. Let me press the pedal. So Republican, a Philip running Congress and support constituents based on ideologies, his personal views and everything else. He's also conflicted with trying to appease the establishment, the swamp, and everything else. So he's faced with all of these different limits, just as around that time frame. And they're black women, many different variables and dynamics just within a community. Doesn't matter what community it is. Within you can say a community within an age, you have different variables and components within those. And if you try to cater to one, you're gonna shun at the other. You're gonna discriminate against this one. You're gonna get shot in the ass by that one. So there's so many there's so many different things you can't cater. It's impossible to cater to them. All you can do is go around and say, hey, look, I get it, got it, understood. You're this, you're that, you're whatever. And but what do we need to meet in the middle for everybody to eat at this table? I can't do vegan. You pick and choose what you want from the spread, but everybody's gonna get a chance to eat. That's how you have to approach these things. You can't sit here and try to just the few or onesies twosies and whatever. These two particulars got a very very rude awakening taste of that. Now, um, just recently I posted a post article this morning. I guess this is a good kind of sentiment on talking about it on here, but now since we're on a topic, but the Biden administration with asterisks, they're pushing this equity agenda of EQ, or if you're a veteran, if you're Asian, if you're black, if you're purple, if you identify as whatever, they're trying to look at how to bring these different marginalized groups into focus, into perspective, where they will be catered to have equal outcome of whatever the thing may be. So to create, because they are XYX, that they will have a equal or better outcome than the person who was actually qualified to do it, because of this, not on the basis of the qualifications in question. I can't digest that shit. I just can't. So this is what we're faced with, folks. I know. I need a coffee break. Faced with, and I take pause to that because, and I have a legitimate serious issue with that because, number one, it kind of takes me back through history. The federal government already tried these programs with affirmative action, with LBJ's Great Society programs, FDR's New Deal. That's just in the United States and the world. But those programs, those issues, never favored men. Not only just men, but it never favored black men. These programs, these policies, particular section of people. Sure, comes to affirmative action, yes, you had the onesies and twosies that got into university, got into a job. They got in because of that, not for it. It was, I'm gonna fill out this application because somebody told me to do so, maybe, and I'm gonna get in because they need to fill this quota type of thing. Some may have gotten in on the merits of their characters or their skills or whatever else, like everyone else did, but you have a great percentage of folks that only got into a number they need to be. And to me, if how can I put this? If the person got into, say, an Ivy League school, fill a quota, but they were able to be successful in that environment, and not because they were just a random selection and they just got in because of ethnicity they were, and they were successful and they went on to do great things, benefited them. It helped them. It helped them out. But what I'm driving at is you have this. This is where the detriment comes in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna get to my point. And Antonin Scalia, Justice Scalia, he talked about this. I don't like was taken aback by it, but I understood what he was saying, and he was actually right in the grand critical theory of things. Was that when you have affirmative action in place like this, say just for the university college domain, and you're pulling in these kids who don't meet the academic snuff to be successful with or to keep up with the rigor of the curriculum, you're ultimately setting them up for failure because not only are you passing them along, if they're getting passed along, they're probably not getting passed along, they fail. This is why you have a high college dropout rate among minorities because they get it on their political identity or their demographical identities at the time versus their test scores and everything else. We had a bunch of Asian kids sue universities because of that. They're like, hey, I qualified to go to this school. He didn't. How did he get in? And I can get in. Well, qualified candidates. But you're setting up for failure those who don't qualify, who or don't meet the the requirements to actually be successful in that program. So that's where I have a problem with that because, like I said, I can understand if they're like, okay, they're neck to neck, and but we need to have some black kids. We got a whole bunch of Asian kids already. But we need black. But these two are like equal. Boom. I can not saying I agree with it, but I can understand it. But when you have somebody that's just like there's this don't even compare type of thing, and oh, well, we're gonna grab him in, we're gonna take him in. You're setting that person up for failure. So the same thing happening with this current administration, doing trying to employ or employ these same policies, resulting in the further detriment of people, lives, careers, and whatever else. And they're not going to have an equal outcome because the decision making factors and everything else that plays into it may not result in them having that desirable outcome that they're seeking to get. So we just have to, like I said, folks, we just have to we write your Congress folks, senators, the president, these different agencies, and let them know, like, hey, what are we doing here? I get it that we're trying to have equal treatment, equal opportunity. Is one. I fully support the idea of having, everyone having a chance to do something. But when you're having favorability in hopes that they will have a better or equal outcome as the person who actually worked and strived and did everything that they needed to do to otherwise achieve that, and you say, oh, because you're good at this, and we're gonna. Get let this person demarginalize the marginalized by marginalizing those who are not. You're reversing roles here, folks. Anyways, I'll be right back.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Have you heard about Thrive? It's a question asked 1,000 times a day. The Thrive 8-week experience has become the fastest growing health and wellness movement in North America. Over 10 million people have started the experience, and anywhere from 10 to 50,000 experience orders ship out every day. Why is this 6-letter word, THRIVE, turned into a phenomenon? Because it's simple. 1. Take 2 Thrive Premium Lifestyle capsules on an empty stomach as soon as you floor in the morning. 2. 20 minutes later, drink the Thrive Ultra Micronized Lifestyle Mix. 3. Apply patent-pending DFT Dermafusion technology to clean, dry skin. That's it. You're all done. And now you're set to thrive for the day. Because it's innovative. We all have nutritional gaps. No matter how well we eat or live, we simply can't get the body everything it needs from a nutritional standpoint. That's why Thrive was formulated. To supplement your diet and lifestyle. Once you complete your simple Thrive 3 steps in the morning, you've now introduced 3 different Thrive formulas that synergistically work as one. Feeding your body over 100 premium grade vitamins, minerals, plant extracts, digestive enzymes, probiotics, antioxidants, protein, fiber, and more. The premium grade nutrition helps fill in your body's nutritional gaps because it flat out works. Check out what just a few Thrivers are saying about their Thrive experience.
I couldn't believe how great that I was feeling from it.
I noticed a huge difference. A huge difference. I didn't even think I needed it.
I'm down 73 pounds. I'm at my high school graduation weight.
I was more patient with my kids, sleeping better, really loving life again. I felt like I was in my 20s, early 20s again.
Because I've tried other products in the past, but it was like remembering to take this in the morning, take this in the afternoon, take this before bed. So the simplicity of those 3 steps felt like I was living my best life.
It really just rocked my world. It was energized, but it was joy. From then on, it's just changed my life, and every day has been better.
It's like somebody installed new lights. Everything was brighter, clearer.
It's laughing and smiling and being present and not being so exhausted.
Thrive is where it's at.
Now that you've heard about Thrive, the next question is, are you ready to start the experience? Learn more at Lavelle.com and Facebook.com/LavelleBrands. Find out how to get your Thrive Experience products for free by referring 2 friends to do the experience with you. Find out how to not only earn free products, but earn commissions as well for sharing the Thrive Experience with others as a Lavelle brand promoter. The decision to take the Thrive Experience or share the experience with others is all up to you. Just start your Thrive Experience today.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
All right, folks, welcome back. So I realized that I'm kind of short on time, and I have 2 key things about this whole program today. I have not intended on disparaging, making fun of, or any of that to any group of people, person, or whatever out there. I'm not going to sit here and try to be politically correct. I'm just not. Just know that it is not. It is never my intention to offend anyone. But if you're offended, so however, comma. Yes, I have to. You see the picture right there. I don't know if this camera is working. Anyway, you see the picture, folks. That is a person with a beard breastfeeding a child. Why do you have that there? What are we doing? What's going on? Is this a joke? I surely hoped, I wish it was, but it's not. In UK, on motherhood, and mothers as part of the identity politic movement that's going on. Breast inclusive to transgender and transgender non-binary birthing parents. What you see here is there. Which was the child. Now, I really don't know what to make of this. Because what world female can produce a child? Yeah. Okay, with this exception of animals, birds, but you get my point. I ain't saying asexually producing. There are certain biological and genetic components that allow mother. Seriously, for people, like, really, do we not have anything else better to do with our lives? I know. I'm gonna stop calling mother's milk breast milk. We're gonna call it titty juice. Like, what? Why? To my friends in the UK, please. There's a movement or a growing trend, whatever you want to call it, of transgender get inclusive of them into the fold as natural and ordained as true to comfort those who may feel some kind of way about it. Hell, if nothing else, the actual, you should say, real mother will probably feel some kind of way that you're telling her that you're not going to call her mom or you're not going to call that breast milk in order to not offend somebody else. This goes back to what I was saying earlier about offending people. One set of people in order to not discriminate against the other. You're still doing it. Anyways, folks, I want to actually share a speech with you all by Booker T. Washington. It is called the Atlanta Compromise speech. And in commemoration and in keeping with the commemoration of Black History Month, take a listen to it. It's a really good speech, and I'm not getting to the analytics. He discusses some things. We work together, build great things, do great things together. And so this is his speech. Enjoy.
Mr. President and gentlemen of the Board of Directors and citizens, 1/3 of the population of the South is the Negro race. No enterprise seeking the material, civil, or moral welfare of this section can disregard this element of our population and reach the highest success. I but convey to you, Mr. President, Directors, the sentiment of the masses of my race when I say that no way have the value and manhood of the American Negro been more fittingly and generously recognized than by the managers of this magnificent exposition at every stage of its process. It is a recognition that will do more to cement the friendship of the two races than any occurrence since the dawn of our freedom. Not only this, but the opportunity here afforded will awaken among us a new era of industrial progress. Ignorant and inexperienced, it is not strange that in the first years of our new life we began at the top instead of the bottom, that a seat in Congress or the state legislature was sought more than real estate or industrial skill, that the political convention or the stump speaking had more traction than starting a dairy farm or truck garden. A lost ship at sea for many days suddenly sighted a friendly vessel. From the mast of unfortunate vessels seen a signal, "Water, water, we die of thirst." The answer from the friendly vessel at once came back, "Cast down your bucket where you are." A second time the signal, "Water, water, send us water," ran up from the distressed vessel, and was answered, "Cast down your bucket where you are." And the fourth signal for water was answered, "Cast down your bucket where you are." The captain of the distressed vehicle, at last heeding the injunction, cast down his bucket, and it came up full of fresh, sparkling water from the mouth of the Amazon River. To those of my race who depend on bettering their condition in a foreign land, or who underestimate the importance of cultivating friendly relations from the white, say, "Cast down your bucket where you are." Cast it down in making friends in every manly way of the people of all races by whom we are surrounded. Cast it down in agriculture, mechanics, in commerce, in domestic service, and in the professions. And in this connection it is well to bear in mind that whatever other sins the South may be called to bear, when it comes to business, and simple, it is in the South that the Negro is given a man's chance in the commercial world. And in nothing in this exposition more eloquent than emphasizing chance. Our greatest danger is that in the great leap from slavery to freedom, we may overlook the fact that the masses of us are to live by the productions of our hands, and fail to keep in mind that we shall prosper in proportion as we learn to dignify and glorify common labor and put brains and skill into the common occupations of life, shall prosper in proportion as we learn to draw the line between the superficial and substantial, the ornament gewgaws of life and the useful. No race can prosper as in writing a poem. It is at the bottom of life we must begin, and not at the top. Nor should we permit our grievances to overshadow our opportunities. Those of the white race who look to the incoming of those of foreign birth and strange tongues and habits for the prosperity, were I permitted, I would where you are. Cast the millions of Negroes whose habits you know, whose fidelity and love you have tested in days when to have proved treacherous. Cast down your bucket among these people who have, without strikes and labor wars, your railroads and cities, and brought forth treasures from the bowels of the earth, make possible this magnificent representation. Casting down your bucket among my helping, encouraging, as you are doing on these grounds, and to educate of head, hand, and heart, you will find that they will buy your surplus land, make blossom the waste places in your fields and your factories. While doing this, will be surrounded by the most patient, faithful, law-abiding, and unresentful people that the world has seen. As we proved our Lord you in the past in nursing, watching by the sick bed of your mothers and fathers, and often following them with tear-dimmed eyes to their graves, so in the future, in our humble way, we shall stand by you with a devotion that no foreigner can approach, ready to lay down our lives, if need be, in defense of yours, interlacing our industrial, commercial, civil, yours in a way that shall make the interests of both races one. In all things that are purely seen as separate as all things essential to mutual in the highest intelligence element of all. If anywhere there are efforts trending to curtail the fullest growth of the Negro, let these efforts be turned into stimulating, encouraging, and making him a most useful and intelligent citizen. Efforts or means so invested will interest. These efforts will be twice blessed, blessing him that gives and him that takes. There is no escape through law of man or God from the laws of changeless justice bind with the oppressed, and in close as sin and suffering join, we march to faith oppressed. Nearly 16 millions of hands will aid you in pulling the load upward, or they will pull against you the load downward. We shall